Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Game Time. This time we'll be taking a look at a rather quite old simulator game called Dangerous Waters. This game aims to simulate a realistic sonar environment with a specific focus on anti-submarine warfare. And the part that we'll be showing today is going to be a mission where we will be looking at the Russian Volgoda SS-402 Kilo improved submarine. Our mission is going to be to intercept and sink a transiting cargo ship. Now, be prepared. This is nothing like Silent Hunter or any other similar simulation. In fact, the closest parallel I can think of would be SAM Simulator. So, we're going to have a look at our armaments for today. We're going to be loaded in our tubes, we're going to be bringing two 53-65K torpedoes. They're wake homing, which means that you'll aim to fire them in the rear of the boat that you're, I suppose the aft of the boat you're aiming to hit, and they will try to home in on the wake produced by the traveling ship and thus smack into the aft and hopefully explode. We're also going to be bringing two UZ-80s, which are multi-purpose. They have a rather quite hefty payload, and they have active/passive sonar homing, which means that they will either echolocate like dolphins, or they will passively listen to the noise made by passing ships. And finally, we're bringing a couple of Test 71M torpedoes. These ones are actually mostly focused on anti-submarine warfare, and therefore the warhead is just slightly smaller than that of the UZ-80. But these ones can actually be wire guided, much like the sort of shonky radio or remote controlled cars I had when I was little. With that in mind, let's just jump straight into it. Provided, of course, I can hit the button. So, here we are, just north of Hokkaido. Have a go line. The freighter must not get over here. Presumably it's because it's international waters or some nonsense. Who knows? But it must not pass there. Here's us. We're laying just 17 meters and we have 12 meters under our keel. We can raise the periscope at this depth and we'll see some things. We're currently traveling at about 6 knots, a little bit too fast since we want to be listening in. So.
Set revolutions for 4 knots, propulsion I.
Good going. We'll also want to make our course just a little bit more eastward.
Steer course 116, steering I.
And this is because our sonar sensors are set up in a certain way, so that's a sentence for sure. Now I will show you. This is a very, very complex simulation. We have all of our motor controls and some indicators. The depth and the depth under keel indicators. See roll, target course and current course. So you'll see that our current course needle is slowly turning towards east. Rudder, of course, fully left. Well, almost fully left. And we're going at 1/3 ordered engine, but the ordered speed here is what matters. Now, what we're going to do is, first and foremost, we want to acquire some radio contact with our mission team. So, there are 2 ways we can do this. The radio antenna, which has the best, reception, or we can deploy the streaming wire, which is basically a big wire antenna. Now the streaming wire is a lot stealthier because it has no radar return, so we're going to stream the wire. And now we hear a ping. That is someone pointing and or they're doing a search with an active sonar, I should say. Here we can see our streaming radio wire coming out. We'll let it stream for a little bit and then stop the stream so that we don't overextend it more than we have to. I think about 100 meters should do it. That in mind, soon we're going to start. 90 should do. So, let's have a look at our sonar. Now, a sonar, for those not familiar with the term, is actually a... you can think of it as a directional microphone, whereby it listens to sound produced and shows you where they're coming from. Our submarine has two... Thank you, helmsman. Our submarine has two sonar arrays. It has one on the bow, which covers from about 267 to... yeah, it covers basically most of the front of the submarine. This line here shows us the aftways. We also have the sideways facing arrays, which cover both sides and are slightly more sensitive than the front conical array. So these are the conformal, this is the cylindrical. And we can see here that we have a spike, so we're going to mark it.
Control acoustics. No contact bearing 208. Designated Sierra 1.
Now, this shows us on our map here, we'll see a bearing line towards the sensor contact. We don't know what it is, we just know that it's something noisy and it is in that direction from us. So what we can do is we can actually put a tracker on this one, and the sonar will periodically provide us with contact updates. We also have another little boat here, so...
Control acoustics. No contact bearing 154. Designated Sierra 2.
I guess we can assign the other tracker to that one. So now we know that there's one ship here, and there's one ship here. And a third ship here, no less.
Control acoustics. No contact.
Populated waters, I believe.
3, 2. Designated Sierra 3.
Now, we don't actually have any clue what they are, we just know that they're there. One of them is presumably the cargo ship we're supposed to sink. So, we're going to start looking at the narrowband antenna. Now, the narrowband display shows bearing, which is the basically just where their position is on the screen. And it shows frequencies, which is how close to the center they are. So here we have something that we can suspect is an oiler based on the frequency profile. Now, this is a thing where different ships will, due to their construction, engines, propellers, etc., will have a certain frequency profile, which means that we can make educated guesses about what they are. So,
Control acoustics. No contact
if I
bearing
mark that,
2, 3, 2. Designated Sierra 4.
we believe this is a cargo ship. And we're reasonably confident that this is a freighter.
No contact bearing 207. Designated Sierra 5.
Now, this could be a car carrier or a super tanker. Not sure which yet, but we'll mark
Control
it.
acoustics. No contact bearing 156. Designated Sierra 6.
So if we have a look at our marks here, we can see that SO2 and SO4. This one was done by the narrowband, and this one was taken using the broadband. SO5 was taken with the narrowband, and SO2 and SO6 with broadband and narrowband respectively. So given the proximity of these, we can have a reasonable suspicion that they are the same contact. So we'll go into our TMA display and we'll link them up to master contacts. For instance, SO2, Sonar 02 and Sonar 06 are likely the same, so we'll merge them. SO1 and let's see now, and SO5 are likely the same, and SO3, SO4 also likely the same. So now we have decluttered it, and we can see that we're getting data on all three contacts using the broadband and the narrowband. Now then, to proceed with identifying the ships. This one is the one we suspect is our target, so we'll want to learn about that one first. Let's see, freighter. This one here. This is the one I think is a cargo ship. So I'll assign tracker 1 to it. Let's see here. I'll reassign tracker 1 to the cylindrical array, and we'll hopefully be able to get it on our daemon display. Another new feature. Now, what the daemon stands for is actually an abbreviation. It stands for demodulated noise. What it does is that it shows us the individual beats of the propeller. So this tells us essentially the revolutions of the propeller. Now, based on propeller dimensions, we can make a very good estimate about how many turns of the propeller are required in order to travel a knot. And this here is the frequency, of course, of how many beats the propeller are making. So, if we combine the frequency with the turns per knot, we'll get a very good readout of the speed of SO4. So, it would be what we suspect to be the cargo ship. Now, if we go into the reference pages, we see that it has a 10 turns per knot and a 4-bladed propeller. And as we can see in our daemon display, 1, 2, 3, 4 propellers at 10 turns per knot, which means that we can, with reliability, say that it's traveling 18 knots. So we'll go into our TMA display, target motion analysis. What the TMA display essentially does is provide us with a list of, or it displays all of the bearing lines we have collected for a particular contact, and it allows us to manipulate this little basically a course, speed, range, and bearing indicator. And thus it'll allow us to create a very good, well, it'll allow us to create a rough estimate of how far away they are from us and what speed they're going. Well, we know they're traveling at 18 knots. So I can just set it and lock it, which means that I can no longer change the length of the target solution arrow. So, based on the historical data, based on what we know, we can be fairly confident that the ship is going to be traveling towards the east. So we can have a very good suspicion that this cargo ship is indeed going eastwards, but we're not really sure of the particulars, and we want to line it up as good as possible with these, but as of right now we don't actually have enough data to make a good estimate. With that in mind, we'll just turn our course ever so slightly. Let's head in the opposite direction for a while.
Right, steer course 276, steering eye.
By making this type of turn, we're actually going to make it so that our data is going to eliminate a lot of potential solutions. So we just wait calmly. Now, while we wait, we can actually do some other useful things. For instance, we've been hearing an awful lot of pinging lately. I would presume this is because someone is using active sonar on us.
Control acoustics. New contact bearing 216, designated Sierra 7.
Incidentally, this is the exact reason you don't want to use active sonar on a submarine, because essentially you're just shouting down anyone that happens to come near you. So we have something here at about a bearing of 216 that's actually looking for us. Presumably it's actually looking at anything in general. Let's see here. No, there is definitely something there that's making a racket. Wonder what it could be. Most likely is that in the mission they mentioned something about an escorting FFG, anti-submarine vessel. Presumably it's that one. Now, how does our TMA situation look? We can increase the speed a little bit so that we get more readings on this one. Now, is it not tracking? Is it not tracking Master 3 anymore?
Steer course 276.
I would presume it isn't.
Rudder left, steer course 236, steering eye.
Now,
Propulsion eye.
this should begin eliminating some solutions that don't seem reasonable. Essentially the goal here is to line up these markers which match up with the sensor readings we've been taking. We want them to line up with this one as nicely as they can. The reason we want this is that
236.
if I enter this solution, we can see on the map that we now have some information about how we believe the ship is actually traveling. I'm going to risk sneaking a little peek at Master 03. It's currently bearing off 209. So, periscope. Erase the periscope. Let's see here. There's something. So we zoom in a little bit. Oh.
No contact bearing 209. No contact bearing 209.
Oh, that's not great. The freighter is actually right in the way of it, which means that we're gonna have to figure out how far away this freighter is. So, we'll take a picture. I suspect that this is indeed the freighter we were looking for. Yes, it is. We can see something like that. And with a stadimeter we can lower one end to get an idea of the range. Okay, so almost 6 kilometers. I'm going to mark that. So, essentially when we fire our torpedo, we don't want it to home on this guy. That would be just utterly disastrous. So, let's have a look-see. Ah, yes. That's a really good view of the cargo ship. So, this is a cargo ship, and angle on bow is about 70 degrees, I would say. No, that doesn't look right. That looks a bit more sensible. Masthead height. So if I lower this, we'll see about 12,000 meters. So 12 kilometers out. I think we'll be able to miss the freighter with good margin if we decide to fire on that. See if I zoom out. Now, VO1 is what I believe to be the freighter, so I go back into TMA. I select Master 3 and Visual 1. Yeah, I will merge them. Now, when I last checked, it was roughly that far away. And I suspect that the course is something like this. Let's have a look. Yes, that's looking good. Now, when we have a decent enough solution, only took us half an hour, but I'm confident enough in the accuracy of what I have here in order for me to actually fire on it. So, first of all, let's lower the periscope. We don't really want anyone to have a look at the periscope and see the radar reflection. That would be tremendously unfortunate. So here we have our weapons control. Our selected target is Master 03. And we are going to have a look at our stores. I think I want to fire 2 USET 80s and I want them to be in active mode. So the UZ80s are in tube 4 and tube number 3. So I'll assign them to Master 03, and I'm going to program the torpedoes. They should travel 9.5 kilometers before arming, or before enabling rather. The ceiling, that can be 2 meters deep, that's fine. Floor, don't really have to... I guess that's the floor they get. Now the acoustics should be active. I want them to actually try to echolocate this once they get to it, and the search pattern should be snaking. A snaking search pattern means that it's going to travel to the enable length, or the enable range, and then it's going to enable, which means it's going to start looking for a target, and then it'll go back and forth, scanning an area with its sonar until it finds a return. And once it finds a return, it's going to home on it and hopefully slam into it. So 9,500 meters, 9,500 meters. So I'm going to fire number 4 first. Let's have a look at the demon display. Looks like I may have lost the track. I'll assign it to another track and we'll have a look. Not picking up anything there. Ah, there we go. Required some jostling, but it's still going 18, 17. Let's amend our solution to account for the slightly slower speed. And then let's fire the torpedoes. So I am going to flood the tube. Flood that tube as well. Next up, we need to equalize the pressure between the outer hull and the torpedo tube, and open the muzzle door. And now you see the light comes on, it's ready to go. And you'll see if we have a look at ourselves. Well, like that. We'll see that the two muzzle doors containing the U-sets have opened. And let's fire. In a second. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go.
Launch tube 4. Yes, Capitan.
Yes, the Capitan.
Control acoustics. Torpedo is running normally.
Running normally. There we see him. Now, this is not a remotely guided torpedo by any stretch of the imagination, which means that once he's gone, he's gone. He will do his mission. This one should have a slightly shorter run to enable range, just to cover our behinds.
Launch tube 3. Yes, Capitan.
And so, this one leaves the
Control
submarine
acoustics.
as well.
Torpedo is running normally.
Okay. 19 knots. Good stuff. So we'll close the tubes. Start the closing sequence. Closing muzzle doors and flushing them. And we're now ready to begin the reloading sequence. Looks like they're taking evasive action rather, slowing down. It's possible that the escort ship that was traveling with them has decided that things are not great. These are some big returns. Slight risk that we're picking up our own torpedoes, but hey. Retrieve the streaming wire, just in case. Let's have a look. Presumably they've started making evasive turns and whatnot, because of course they would. Now, let's have a look. So I just pull this down so that the mast height is in line with the crosshair. And they have gotten a fair bit closer, but our course is closing with theirs. I'm a little bit concerned about these torpedoes' ability to guide on it. Normally they should be leading, but with the evasive action it's been taken, there's really nothing saying that it won't actually just stop and drive straight into them. Oh. I just overwrote my phone. Nope. That's great. So, by analyzing this, see, I can see it does look like it's having some sort of course similar to this one. No, it doesn't. Something like this. So it's port 0.95 with our bearing at 236. That means that the ship's course is 95 degrees subtracted from ours. Which would make sense, so it's turned entirely southward. How are our torpedoes doing? I'm not sure what the range is here. Let's have a look. I don't really have any drawing tools, do I? That's unfortunate. Would have been helpful. I'm not sure those well, no, if it's turning entirely southward, then by all reasoning, this solution is no longer accurate. If we look at the last 10 minutes, yeah, we'll see that the bearing lines have started getting very confused. It does look like it's not changing bearings so much in relation to us anymore. So this solution is not particularly accurate at this point in time. I think we should be seeing any one of these torpedoes enable shortly. I guess that's part of the excitement for submarine captaining, which is that you don't really know until your torpedoes strike. I really don't know their related bearing change yet. I do know that their speed has decreased considerably, however. However, could be something like this. I was expecting something more along these lines, based on when I had a look at it in the periscope. Yeah, this one is searching right now. Actually, it's not just searching. This one has reached its enable range. This other one will reach its enable range soon and start searching, but if it was going in a snaking pattern back and forth, that would mean... yeah, you'll see how this one is traveling. That's what the snaking search pattern looks like, but this one has found something. And now this one has found it too, so they're both chasing a target. Let's raise the periscope again. .169. Sierra 169. As the freighter, I don't care about that.
Steer course 136.
There we go. There's the... oh yeah, look at this guy. He is running. He is a lot further away now. And his angle on the bow is definitely away from us. Something like this. Yes, so he's at 155. Yeah, so he would be heading straight away, basically. Yeah, the torpedoes will get him most likely. Oh yeah, he's actually turning back. Yeah, look at this jerk.
Mission is accomplished.
Oh,
Report for debrief.
Control acoustics. Loud explosion.
Loud explosion.
Master 3.
now we see that it's actually sinking. Very good couple of hits there. So, we can now safely end the mission. Yes, I do want to quit. And if we look at our replay here, go at 16 speed and let's hit play. And we'll see, here is the truth of what was actually going on. There were actually two freighters and a supertanker heading west. So, this is when we were still getting our bearings. And soon we're going to start seeing us collecting some bearing lines. Yeah. So if we pause here for a second, we see we have a bearing line to something here, here, and here. So what we were looking at is most likely the cargo ship, the freighter, and the supertanker. And then we started getting some other readings, and we merged them, and we identified the cargo ship. Now, hopefully we'll see that the stadimetric reading I was getting is most likely not entirely, strictly speaking, correct. But we can see that our... we're collecting a lot more tracks here as we were going around. Right now we have the cargo ship, whatever pinged us with the active freighter supertanker. So, cargo ship, Oliver Hazard Perry, and the supertanker. I think this went rather quite well, all things considered. So soon into this we'll be starting to get visual tracks. But of course it took a little while. Yeah, there's the cargo ship estimate that we created. And as you can see, it's not actually too far off from what was actually going on. And I got a visual on freighter, which I spotted being here. And it's not super close, but it's close enough to avoid smashing it with some torpedoes. Now, interestingly enough though, when I linked up the visual to the cargo ship, I actually threw off my calculations by quite a lot compared to the TMA. So, unlike most times, I was actually pretty on point with my TMA game today. It's certainly a lot better than being on point with my TMI game. And so, there goes the first torpedo, and there goes the second, and they're aiming for the cargo ship. I'm not sure why they weren't fired on a lead course, but... yeah, and here we see that as soon as the torpedoes hit the waters, the cargo ship starts taking evasive action, and the Oliver Hazard Perry anti-submarine ship just kinda runs away, I guess. Meanwhile, the cargo ship is taking evasive action, so we were actually quite lucky that the torpedoes did not fire along a lead course. And there we've hit the enable range of the first torpedo, which immediately points itself at the cargo ship. Second one snakes around for a bit, but eventually starts following the cargo ship too. It's funny, the Oliver Hazard Perry that's supposed to be hunting us just wants nothing to do with what's going on. Good escort you were. And there's an explosion. And there's the other one. A tremendous sink, I think. Now, I hope you enjoyed this. It's rather quite of a long video. It's a bit of a relaxing game to play, so hopefully you were entertained by the sonar antics going on. So, like if you like, leave a comment in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you very, very much for watching.